Snow whispered across the ruined forest, each flake drifting through the silence like a secret. Captain Mira Voss lay prone beneath a shroud of burlap and frost, her breath barely fogging the air inside her mask. The world had become quiet since the Vael'kor landed, too quiet. Birds had vanished. Trees stood like grave markers. Somewhere beyond the tree line, the laughter of alien soldiers echoed, a metallic chorus vibrating through the frozen stillness. They were coming, certain of their victory, amused by the idea that humans still resisted. Through her scope, Mira watched them advance, tall, angular figures moving with mechanical grace. Their armor shimmered with a green iridescence, living metal that pulsed faintly with each step. The Vael'kor had named themselves the Inheritors, claiming that humanity's time was a mistake corrected by their arrival. To Mira, they were simply another invader, another voice declaring that Earth was not worth saving. She disagreed. She lowered her rifle and whispered into her comm. "Positions check. Echo 1 ready," came Reyes' low reply from her right flank. His tone was steady, but Mira heard fatigue hiding beneath it. They had been in this forest for 3 days without rest. Echo 2 in sight line. Another voice said, Tanner, their youngest, still learning how to hide fear in his words. Mira glanced to her left where the faint shimmer of his ghillie suit blended into the moss. The boy had lost his family in the first orbital strike on Oslo. He'd volunteered for sniper duty before he was ready. But he had the one thing that mattered more than experience, the need to fight back. "Hold," Mira murmured. "Wait for my mark." The alien column moved with careless confidence, scanning occasionally, but never truly searching. Their laughter returned, a harsh, glitching sound that grated through her earpiece as the translator struggled to decode it. "Primitive rifles," one said, his tone mocking. "Projectiles against the Dominion." Amusing. She watched them pass between the trees, calculating wind drift, distance, and heart rate. They thought humanity was broken, and maybe they were right. Cities had burned. Governments had collapsed. The last military networks operated in fragments, but fragments could still cut. The Ghost Reapers were one such shard. Snipers trained for patience, ghosts made from loss. Reyes' voice broke the quiet. "They're bunching up. Perfect for a crossfire." "Negative," Mira said. "We wait until the lead units in the clearing. They need to see what's coming." Her scope followed the lead alien, a commander by his ornate crest and heavier plating. He moved with arrogance, scanning the treetops as if expecting danger and dismissing it all the same. His weapon, a plasma carbine that glowed with inner light, looked like something alive. Mira's rifle felt primitive by comparison, all cold steel and hand-oiled wood. Yet, she trusted it more than anything. A soft gust of wind drifted from the north. Mira adjusted her aim half a degree. Her gloved finger rested against the trigger guard, motionless. She had killed men before, soldiers who'd invaded her city. But killing these creatures carried something different. A satisfaction sharpened by the knowledge that they believed themselves untouchable. "Tanner," she whispered, "what do you see?" "6 in front, 8 behind," he answered. "Their scanners are active, but they're not sweeping ground-level heat." "Overconfidence," Reyes muttered. "Always," Mira said. "It's what gets gods killed." The alien laughter returned, closer now. The lead commander gestured at something on the ground, perhaps a fallen human helmet. He said something in their tongue, and the translator crackled, "Children's toys." More laughter followed, rolling through the ranks like a cruel wave. Mira exhaled slowly. The memory of her brother flashed, his face illuminated by the fire that consumed their home when the first plasma bombardment struck. That laughter had followed her ever since, ringing in her dreams. She felt the old rage simmer, but she didn't let it control her. Rage made you loud. Precision made you lethal. "On my mark," she said. Reyes steadied his rifle. Tanner's breathing slowed to silence. The alien stepped into the clearing. 15 of them, shields flickering faintly like blue auras. They spread out, confident that nothing on this frozen planet could harm them. Mira adjusted the rifle's magnetic calibration, the coil humming softly beneath the barrel. Her team had scavenged alien tech from fallen drones, reverse engineering the power cells to amplify their bullet velocity. Crude, but effective, if their calculations were right. They hadn't been tested in combat. Her heart slowed. The forest held its breath. The alien commander raised his weapon, scanning the horizon one last time. His laugh buzzed through the translator. Let the humans hide in their snow. We'll burn the world warm again. Mira squeezed the trigger halfway, then stopped. The reticle hovered on the commander's visor. She could end it now, but discipline mattered more than impulse. Hold, she whispered again, almost to herself. Reyes didn't move. Tanner's finger hovered, trembling slightly. The commander turned his head toward a distant echo, one of their drones circling overhead. The light from its engines washed over the clearing, casting the aliens in a sterile blue glow. It was the moment Mira had waited for. Illumination, exposure, vulnerability. Her breath steadied. Her finger tightened. The rifle cracked, the sound swallowed by the forest. The round sliced through the air, a whisper of death. The alien commander's laughter cut off mid-syllable. He staggered once, then collapsed face first into the snow. His shield flickered, then died completely. For a moment, the clearing went utterly still. The other Vael'kor stared at their fallen leader, confusion rippling through their ranks. Then came the first shout in their native tongue, a sound that wasn't laughter. Mira watched through her scope, expression unreadable. One, she said softly into the calm. Reyes and Tanner didn't need orders after that. The forest erupted in muffled cracks. Each shot precise, each strike deliberate. Through the mist, Mira saw panic bloom where arrogance once lived. She allowed herself a single whisper before shifting position. Welcome to Earth. The forest erupted with light. Plasma bolts ripped through the trees, searing bark into ash. Mira rolled behind a fallen trunk as molten splinters hissed across her visor. The Vael'kor had recovered from their shock, their laughter replaced with alarmed roars. Through her calm, Reyes's voice cut through the chaos. They're blind firing, trying to flush us out. Good, Mira answered, reloading with swift precision. Let them waste their energy. She peeked through a gap in the trunk. The clearing that had once held confident aliens now burned with arcs of blue fire. The dead commander lay where he'd fallen, half buried in snow. Around him, his soldiers fired wildly at phantoms. Every crack of a human rifle sent them scattering, their discipline unraveling into chaos. Tanner's voice broke in, breathless. Got another. Shield failed after the first hit. Confirm, Mira ordered. A pause, then confirmed. 2 down. Mira felt something cold and fierce stir in her chest. Not joy, but vindication. The alien armor wasn't invincible. Their shields bent to physics like everything else. The tech they'd reverse-engineered worked. Humanity still had teeth. She crawled forward, the snow swallowing her movement. Her rifle rested steady on a bipod, scope scanning for the telltale shimmer of another target. Through the haze of smoke and steam, she saw one, an alien kneeling beside a fallen comrade, touching the armor's chest plate as if trying to understand how it had failed. Mira lined up the shot and breathed out. The report was sharp, distant. The alien slumped over without a sound. 3, Reyes murmured, his voice low with awe. They're dropping like flies. They'll adapt, Mira warned. They always do. As if summoned by her words, a new pattern emerged in the chaos. The aliens began moving with renewed coordination, their armor plates shifting color to match the forest around them. Adaptive camouflage, high-level military tech. Mira's scope flickered as her sensors tried to adjust. She cursed softly. Thermals? She asked. Disrupted, Reyes replied. They're using field dampeners. Can't get a read. Tanner exhaled sharply. They're learning fast. That's why we move faster, Mira said. Echo shift now. It was a command they'd trained to execute without hesitation. Reyes activated his drone, a small, silent sphere hovering just above the canopy. It projected a scatter of heat signatures across a wide radius, dozens of fake human positions. The aliens immediately reacted, plasma fire veering toward illusions that danced between trees. Nice, Tanner whispered, the edge of pride in his tone. Mira smiled grimly. Don't thank me yet. She crawled to a new position, her movements fluid and practiced. The ground trembled with each alien footstep. Through her scope, she saw one of the Vael'kor kneeling beside a scanner device. Its tendrils pulsed red, sweeping the area like a predator sniffing for prey. Reyes, left flank. 2 units scanning. Copy, he said. A second later, 2 muffled shots cracked. The scanner flickered, then fell silent. The other alien turned in confusion. Then Mira's shot found him too. The silence that followed was almost reverent. They're breaking formation, Tanner said. I can see panic. Mira checked her remaining rounds. Only 4 left in the magazine. Don't underestimate panic, she said. It makes people dangerous. A sudden explosion to their right shattered the calm. Plasma grenades detonated in a chain, the shockwave sending a spray of snow and dirt over her position. Her calm filled with static. Reyes, she shouted. I'm fine. His voice came through, ragged but alive. They're zeroing in on my sector. Fall back north, she ordered. Ridgeline gives you better cover. He didn't argue. That was the thing about veterans. They didn't waste breath on what couldn't change. Through her scope, she watched the surviving aliens regroup. The laughter was gone now, replaced by tight, clipped communication. They'd stopped underestimating her team. Good. Respect made them predictable. Tanner's whisper came next. Captain, they're deploying something new. Looks like a drone swarm, small, fast. Mira's pulse quickened. She saw them. Dozens of silver motes rising from a canister, spreading like a glittering fog. They scanned the air, their lights pulsing in a synchronized rhythm. EMP rounds, she said. They'll fry our systems if they get close. Then we don't let them get close, Tanner said, already shifting his aim. His first shot clipped one, sparking at midair. Mira joined him, firing in rhythm. The air filled with tiny flashes as drones burst one by one. Still more came. A few detonated, their pulses rippling across the forest. Mira's visor flickered. Her rifle's targeting module glitched for a heartbeat before rebooting. Reyes's voice returned. EMP hit my drone. Decoys are down. Mira gritted her teeth. Then we go analog. Visual targeting only. It felt almost nostalgic. No sensors, no assistance, just instinct and skill. She adjusted her scope manually, reading wind and distance by feel. The aliens were advancing again, slow and deliberate, their armor gleaming under the pale light filtering through the smoke. Tanner on me. We'll crossfire the ridge. Reyes, cover our retreat. Copy that, he said. Mira shifted position, crawling uphill through ice and roots. Her muscles ached, but the rhythm steadied her mind. She found a vantage point overlooking the clearing, now littered with alien bodies and burning wreckage. The smell of scorched ozone clung to the air. She could see the alien commander's second in command, a massive figure, armor pulsing brighter than the rest. He barked orders, rallying the troops. Mira centered her reticle on him, but hesitated. Killing him now would scatter them, but it might also provoke a larger assault. Her calm crackled. Tanner's voice, calm and sure this time. Permission to take the shot. She exhaled slowly. Denied. We're not here for glory. Then what are we here for? Mira watched the aliens regroup and reload. Watched the arrogance return to their posture even after their dead lay in the snow. To remind them who they're fighting. A plasma bolt slammed into the ridge beside her, showering her with dirt. She ducked down, heart hammering. The aliens were adapting faster now. They were triangulating her fire. Tanner, fall back, she ordered. They've got the angle. What about you? I'll cover. Go. She heard him hesitate, then his faint steps fading into the distance. Mira adjusted her position, took one last look at the battlefield below, and squeezed off a single deliberate shot. It struck the alien lieutenant square in the chest, sending him sprawling backward. The others froze, momentarily stunned. Mira used that pause to vanish into the snow, retreating toward the ridgeline. The Vael'kor began to shout again, their voices rising in fury rather than laughter. This time, They were taking the humans seriously. Smoke clung to the trees like ghosts refusing to leave. Mira crouched behind a ridge of ice, her hands trembling from exhaustion and cold. The snow around her was blackened with soot, the air heavy with ozone. Through the static in her comms, Reyes's voice came in faintly. They're regrouping to the south. At least 24 left. Copy, she whispered. Her voice was hoarse, every word scraping against the dryness in her throat. Tanner, I'm here, came the reply, steadier than she expected. The young sniper had proven himself in fire and chaos. Ammo's low. 2 mags left. Mira glanced at her own rifle. 3 rounds in the chamber, 1 extra clip. Enough for a few more moments of defiance. She closed her eyes briefly, listening to the distant hum of alien engines. Dropships were descending, heavy, mechanical sighs echoing through the sky. Reinforcements. They're calling more, she said. Reyes cursed softly. We can't hold against that. I know. She lifted her gaze to the treetops, now glowing faintly from the fires below. That's why we won't try. A pause. What's the plan, Captain? She hesitated, not from doubt, but from the weight of knowing exactly what needed to be done. We lead them into the ravine. Channel their arrogance one last time. Reyes didn't question her. He never did. You think the charges will still blow in this cold? They'll blow, she said, checking her detonator. They were built for worse. The Ghost Reapers moved silently through the snow, shadows within shadows. The forest had become their ally, concealing every breath and footfall. As they approached the ravine, Mira looked down at the narrow pass below. The walls were steep, slick with ice, and lined with explosives they had buried 2 nights before, a desperate contingency. Tanner slid into position beside her, his face pale beneath the grime. You really think this will work? Mira gave a faint, weary smile. I don't think. I know. And even if it doesn't, they'll remember what it cost to take us. He nodded once. That was enough. Minutes later, the first signs of the alien advance appeared. Blue light filtering through the trees, the rhythmic stomp of metal boots crunching over frozen soil. The Vael'kor marched in formation again, their earlier chaos burned away by discipline and anger. Mira could see the new commander at their front, his armor darker, his stride purposeful. She whispered in her calm, wait for them to commit. Let them feel safe. The alien leader raised his weapon and shouted in his language, a sound more mechanical than organic. His troops fanned out, scanning for movement. One of them stepped directly over a buried charge, unaware of the trap beneath his feet. Mira's thumb brushed the detonator, but she held back. Timing was everything. Reyes opened the engagement with a shot that dropped the rearmost alien. The formation turned instantly, firing in every direction. Tanner followed, his bullets striking through the eye of another. Mira joined in, every shot clean and deliberate. The aliens surged forward, enraged, their plasma bolts slicing through the forest. Snow melted into steam where they struck. Mira kept firing, her team's coordinated rhythm driving the enemy exactly where she wanted them, into the heart of the ravine. Now, she breathed. Her thumb pressed the detonator. The world cracked open. Explosions ripped through the ravine in cascading waves, earth and fire churning together. Alien screams cut through the roar, their bodies flung like debris. The ground shook beneath her, the shock wave rattling her teeth. When the noise faded, a strange, fragile quiet returned, broken only by the hiss of cooling metal. Mira lifted her head. Where there had been 24 enemies, there was now wreckage and flame. Smoke curled upward in gray tendrils, blending with the mist. For a heartbeat, she allowed herself to believe it was over. Then a shadow moved through the smoke. The new commander emerged, armor scorched but intact. His eyes, cold and luminous, locked onto her position. Reyes shouted, "Mira, get down," but the warning came too late. The plasma burst struck the ground beside her, hurling her backward. She hit the snow hard, pain flaring through her side. Her comm sputtered and died. Through the haze of pain, she saw Reyes rise from cover. Firing in a desperate arc plasma fire cut him down mid-motion. Tanner screamed something she couldn't hear. Her vision blurred. The alien commander advanced slowly, raising his weapon for the final shot. Mira forced herself upright. Her legs refused to obey, but her hands found a rifle. She crawled onto one elbow, her gloves slick with blood. The alien's armor pulsed, charging energy for a killing blow. She lined up her scope. The crosshair wavered, steadied, and fixed on the creature's visor. The wind had died. The forest waited. "You shouldn't have laughed," she whispered. Her final shot cracked through the silence. The bullet struck dead center, piercing through the glowing helm. The commander's body jerked, then collapsed into the snow. The weapon in his hand dimmed, its light extinguished. Mira slumped back, staring up at the pale sky. Her breathing came shallow, ragged. Somewhere to her left, Tanner called her name, his voice distant and panicked. She wanted to answer, to tell him to keep fighting, but her words wouldn't form. Instead, she looked toward the rising smoke and smiled faintly. The sound of engines faded overhead, the alien dropships withdrawing. They'd lost too many. The forest, scarred and burning, belonged to humanity again, even if only for a moment. Tanner knelt beside her, tears streaking his soot-covered face. "Captain, please stay with me." She met his gaze, eyes steady despite the pain. "You're the Reaper now," she said softly. "Make them remember." Her hand fell from his sleeve, still and quiet. Above them, the smoke parted, revealing a sliver of cold sunlight breaking through the clouds. Tanner looked up, his rifle gripped tight. He could still hear distant alien comms retreating, their voices sharp with fear rather than pride. He rose, scanning the ruined forest where the ghost reapers had made their stand. Every tree, every scar on the earth bore witness to what they'd done. He pressed a finger to his comm, transmitting a single message to the surviving networks. Target neutralized. Earth still fights. Far above, the alien fleet adjusted its orbit, its commanders whispering of the humans who had turned the impossible into legend. They would not laugh again.